Hi, I'm Tony, this is Slack, welcome to Smog Vlog. Today we're going to be reviewing the Council of Vapour MiniVolt.
Zap, zap, zap. Right, welcome back. As I said, we're looking at the Council of Vapour MiniVolt kit. This has been sent over to us from our friends at World Vaping for review. Yeah, it's a lovely little piece of kit. If you're not familiar with Council of Vapour, they've bought you such things as the Royal Hunter RDA and the Vengeance Tank and a whole bunch of other cool stuff. Really like their stuff, so you know, I have high hopes for this setup.
So yeah, this kit comes with the MiniVolt atomizer within the kit, which you'll see in the unboxing coming up. Bear with us. It comes with 2.8 ohm atomizers, a spare tank glass and a USB. It's a brilliant little mod. I've written in the docket, perfect for a clutch purse or a watch pocket. It sounds a bit weird now saying it on camera.
Yeah, but you have a clutch purse, so you know, you got to put something in it.
I do, I call him Slack. Moving on, let's dive down for that unboxing.
Right, let's unbox the MiniVolt kit from Council of Vapour. So, quick tour around the box. It's a hard plastic box, and you see your mod and your thing. It's freaking tiny. Look, I mean, the box is the size of my hand. That is just nothing. Look, H cigar. It's different order of magnitude. They're not joking with the Mini. So yeah, starting up top, you've got this awesome styling around the box. You've got the Harry Potter-esque MiniVolt symbol there. Coming around the sides, you can see Council of Vapour's seal there. 40 watt kit in black, that's fine. Another one of their seals there. Back of the box, you have the awesome Council of Vapour logo. Now, this just reminds me of something like one of the bad guys in the Chinese guys would have in Sherlock Holmes, you know. Back down to the Harry Potter styling and made in the USA, Council of Vapour. Without further ado, let's dive inside. We're in. So, here's our box. One USB cable. We'll come to the good stuff in a second. One spare 0.8 ohm coil. One spare tank glass containing a couple of red O-rings. Underneath the box, before we get to the good stuff, one QR code. Warning, please fill the tank for 2 minutes before your first use of the coil to prevent the dry burn, which nobody likes. One atomizer quick start guide. Complete with pictures, and one MiniVolt box mod guide. This is about the right size for a manual, where it probably covers everything without tons of sales spiel. But without further ado, let's dive into the good stuff. So here is our box mod. Yep, fairly medium resistance on the spring, not too hard, not too soft. Couple of hex keys there. I'm going to chuck this on. Before we do, there's the Council of Vapour logo on the bottom, and you've got one flat silvery 510 connector. Really nice threads on here. It's a whittle. Okay, you've got your screen up top. Coming around the side, you've got the buttons. You've got your go button, your plus and minus buttons. In fact, quickly turn that off. So you've got this almost sort of carbon fibre-esque sort of pattern around here. It's slightly textured, ever so slightly. And you've got this almost sort of plush feeling, sort of rubberised case round here. Nice little thumb grips there. Coming down the bottom, you've got a USB charger for the built-in battery. And that's it, nice and simple, which is what you want for a small, simple, portable mod. Now, in terms of size, look at it, there's nothing to it. So next to the H cigar with a very messy velocity on it. I told you I was messy. I mean, it's just tiny. This is a small mod. This is like smaller than a mini mod. This is ridiculously tiny. Snowwolf Mini, MiniVolt. Enough said. Right, so looking at the Atty itself, you've got this sort of like almost double material, kind of rubbery on the inside drip tip. You can unscrew that, and there you get into your filling, which is nice and easy. You don't have to take the bottom off, so Tony is going to love that. You've got very similar to the Royal Hunter, you know, the spit catcher there, which is pretty cool. Going down the bottom, there's 4 air holes. One of them seems to be smaller. I don't know if that's just my eyesight or a trick of the light. That one seems smaller than the rest. That could be my eyesight. Standard affair to get into your coil. Here, another one of those fantastic 0.8 coils. Underneath you can see your silvery centre pin there. Nice flat connection on the bottom of the coil. So you've got this standard sort of earthing ring round there. You've got a single clear O-ring at the bottom to prevent leaks. There's our chimney through the drip tip. Now, one thing I can see is that there's a couple of sort of burrs on this metal where it's very fine in the chimney. I don't know what that says. That's where the threads were put in. So I think once it's cleaned up, this will be okay. So, talking of which, it's time to clean her up, chuck some juice in her, and see what she's got. Back to the studio.
Okay, cheers Slack for that awesome unboxing as usual. I'm sure you'll agree. Leave us a comment down below, let us know how good that is. Moving swiftly along, because this is a kit, we're going to break it into 2 parts. We'll have the tank in the first part, mod in the second part. It will come later on. Right now we're going to talk about... Stop laughing about coming later on. We're going to talk about the tank right now, and Slack's going to start with coil options.
Yep, so your coil options for this tank here, you get 0.8 ohm coils. That's it. They're good. I really like the coils that come with them. They've got them 6 wicking holes. You know, they're fairly thin, but they're quite tall, and it wicks really well. And yeah, that's it. Nice and simple. That's your coil options. Now they've done the coil options at 0.8 ohms because it's only a tiny battery. It's specifically designed to work with it, and they're pretty decent.
Moving along now to the RBA section. Wouldn't it be awesome though if it did have an RBA section? I mean, you'd run into sort of like the reverse problem if you're a dripper, like having to drip every three tugs on a fucking dripper. With this one, you'll have to, you know, charge it every 3 fucking tugs for 3 hours.
Yeah, so no RBA section, and it's probably not coming because that is tiny and awkward. There's no, you don't need it. It's just not designed for that. It's a tiny little kit that is just simple, easy, boom, go, and yeah, no RBA section. Right, onto airflow for the device. It's got 4 holes around the bottom, and the airflow adjuster is sort of a nice on or off, you know, 2-way. It doesn't just infinite spin. It's got a good action. It's rubberized. It feels good. Yeah, I like the design of the airflow there. It is a little bit restrictive, but you can take a direct lung hit, which I'm going to just show you it now.
He's going to do that right now. And while
I'll turn the mod on.
He's going to turn it on as well, because that sometimes helps.
Sleep function.
And while he's doing that, I'm going to tell you that we've just taken out the rubber inner at the top to release the airflow function on the drip tip.
Yeah, that's that bad boy there. It's so small you can't even see it. So, around the top of the drip tip you have a bunch of holes, maybe 8, I haven't bothered counting, but they're tiny pinprick holes. By default, out the box, you know, they are blocked up. But when you take this little piece of rubber out, it reveals a twin skin, and you get a little bit more airflow. Airflow's at the top, so yeah, lose a little bit of flavour. But if you like a really open draw and want to cool down the vape, you know, to your taste, then you can do that.
Moving along now to the tank capacity. Right, it's a 20mm diameter tank. It's got 2 mils. That's it.
Yeah, which is alright, you know, it's not a mega high power coil, so you're not going to be burning through your juice as fast, 0.8 ohms, so it does last a bit longer. But yeah, I mean, it's not a massive tank, but in terms of tank filling versus charging, it's kind of about right.
Yeah.
You know, you can kind of do a tank, and yeah.
Apparently, yeah.
Right, ease of filling for the tank. So it's really easy, just unscrew the drip tip, and then you've got access to the top. You know, very similar to a lot of other things, but it's actually the drip tip that unscrews to give you that top fill access. It works really well. I've had some sort of filling issues with it where it was flooding juice, but it just wasn't sat together correctly. When set together correctly, it works fine. And yeah, nice and easy.
Next up for you guys is Sturdiness. Now, this is one tough little bastard. I mean, earlier today, I dropped it from standing height onto carpet, and it didn't even miss a beat. It was like straight back on it, pumping hot juice into my mouth. Wait a minute, that was something else. Pumping hot vapour into my mouth.
Yeah, so I mean, I've had a few knocks with it as well, and I'm not particularly gentle with my stuff when I'm carrying stuff about. I just chuck it like in a pocket in my car, and it's in with keys and stuff. The only thing that's happened is a little bit of the paintwork on the top there, top corner, but you know, it's absolutely rock solid for a tiny little thing. It is solid.
Now, moving along to the drip tip for you. Like we said earlier, the threaded action underneath also forms the top fill action. Unfortunately, because of this, you're not going to be able to swap out for your own sort of favourite drip tip.
Yeah, but that's okay because this has got quite a wide bore on it. It sort of fits really well with the tank itself and the sort of factor of the mod. And yeah, it's just a good drip tip. Now it's got this little rubber thing that you saw earlier that you can take out to get additional airflow from it as well. That rubber also sort of acts as like a twin skin. It's got there to help with the heat, so the drip tip doesn't really get too hot, which is again good. And talking of good, it's also got a very similar design for spit guard to like the Royal Hunter, with that sort of almost honeycomb mesh sort of affair in there, which works really well. You're not getting any direct spit into your mouth, but you're going to have to remember to clean it out occasionally because that will sit with juice, and if you take a suck on it, you're going to suck it in, as witnessed earlier by some idiot.
So let's talk about flavour now for it. While it's not the most outstanding flavour, it's not also the worst that I've had. It's fairly middle of the road.
Yeah, I quite like it. I was expecting less, so I was pleasantly surprised by how much flavour I got out of this. You know, it's got a good taste, the coil wicks nicely, and you know, produces an alright flavour. So for a really sort of tiny, you know, low power, non-ceramic coil, you know, it works really well.
So moving now on to vapour production for the tank. It's great.
Yeah, for the size of the tank, for the power and the ohms of the coil, you know, it's really good. Again, I was expecting less, so pleasantly surprised there. Don't get us wrong, you know, you've got tiny tanks like the Mermaid where they pump out 100 watts of power and mega vapour. It's not one of them. So if you are looking exclusively for a tank with huge vapour, this isn't it. But that's not what it's designed to be. It's designed to be small and a tasty little bastard, which it is. We're going to show you the vapour production now, because we're going to do our hit test where we do the chaining, because next up we're going to be talking about heat. But rather than talking, let's do some hitting.
Oh, let's use our words in the form of hitting.
So yeah, great vapour production. I mean, we're running this at 40 watts on standard mode, which we'll explain later.
Getting into that third lung.
Big lungs, what can I say?
For the size of it, I've got to say, it is outstanding. The amount of vapour production you can get out, and it's a 0.8 ohm as well.
At 40 watts. You know, we're running it at the full 40 watts. But 40 watts is nothing this day and age, you know.
The drip tip is just about starting to warm up a little bit, but not unmanageable.
Yeah, drip tip and the top of the tank itself.
No dry hits though. It's still wicking absolutely brilliantly.
Yeah, the brave lip test. Okay, so the bottom of the unit is pretty cool. There's some warmth there, but it's not hot. The glass itself at the base is pretty good, but the heat is all up the top here, just below the drip tip. Now, where it's that fixed, quite stubby drip tip, your lips are going to be touching that top bit that gets very hot. The drip tip itself gets hot, but not as hot as this top bit here. Handled the heat okay. No worries there. You know, the mod itself, like I say, it's warm, but it's not hot. So, yeah, good. Right, so having just done the heat test, you know, the hit, the flavour, one thing we didn't mention, the flavour was good throughout that. It was consistent, which is what you would want. And so without further ado, let's move on and talk about leaks and spit. So generally there's no spitting from the device. The spit does collect on the spit guard, and unless you suck that off of there like I did earlier, it's absolutely fine. In terms of leaks, when it's put together correctly, no leaks at all. However, as I mentioned earlier, I did have a problem with it. Every time I was filling it, when I was filling it up to the top, it was just dumping half the juice. Now, that would have been something to do with the O-ring on the coil itself fitting into the chimney. It obviously wasn't right. I tried a number of things first before I handed it over to Tony, and closing off the air vents and blocking up the hole, thinking maybe I was overfilling it. It was just running down the hole, because when you take that drip tip off, you've got the fill holes and then the air hole. So I thought maybe I was just pouring some straight down, but I found out it wasn't that, and I'd handed it over to Tony, and Tony did his magic.
Just took it apart, cleaned it up, checked all the O-rings, slapped it all back together.
Job's a good one.
Been fine, absolutely fine.
Yeah, so barring that one problem, which was obviously some sort of user error. It can't be user error. It worked okay the first couple of times and then went. Anyway, barring that one problem, it's been absolutely fine. There's no worries about leaks and spits when you're transporting it, and yeah, it's good.
A general rule of thumb for filling tanks up is to close the airflow control valve off at the bottom. Thus, when you take the top section off, or you release the static pressure from the tank, it won't flood through and cause you leaks.
Yeah, see, I personally don't bother doing that on anything where you've got additional air holes. So if you've got something with two fill holes, one's going in the filling, there's not going to be as much pressure there. So that's something I personally don't ever do, but I am bad for that. And, Tony was like, well, are you sure it's not just that? He does it because he does that properly, and I am lazy and I do not do that.
Moving now on to the 510 connector. It's got a silvery 510 connector.
And good threads.
Yeah.
It works fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one.
That's it. Moving on.
Okay, so that's the tank out the way. Now we're going to talk about the mod itself. So, being a mod, let's talk about the power range, tech specs, and protections and features. So, first up is that it's a 40 watt mod. You can run from 5 watts through to 40 watts, and you have 3 grades of hit basically. You've got soft, standard, and power, which is confusing because when you see power you think it's got a TC mode. It doesn't. Right,
next up is probably a bone of contention, is the milliamp hours. It's a 1200 milliamp hour battery, although I've been seeing a lot of websites saying it's 1300, so I'm not sure about that. Council of Vapour's website definitely says 1200, so I'm sticking with that because I fucking hope they know what they're talking about. The other thing that I've got to say is that the minimum atomizer resistance for it is 0.2 ohm. I know, so pro, right? So pro.
late. Next up is the fact that it has carbon fibre grip. It's just styling. It's not really functional. But it is a rubberised sort of paint job on there, on the tank itself, around the airflow control and the mod itself to make it nice and grippy, complete with that awesome thumb grip.
And the other thing that I've got to say is that it's got a shitload of protections on it. So it's got short circuit protection, low resistance protection, low battery protection / warning, which means, you won't fucking burn it out or make it explode, which is great. But the other awesome thing for something this size is that it's also got PCB overheat protection built in.
Yeah, which is good, but I mean, we've just done that hit video. It didn't really get that hot, so that's only really a concern if something's going wrong or you're using not the standard tank on it.
Exactly. I mean, you put a 0.2 ohm resistance in it and start hitting it at 40 watts. I think it will soon heat up.
And your battery will soon drain.
Now, moving on to menu operation. It's not worth diving down for a video for this and giving you an uppy closey because there's not a lot to it. We'll just tell you about it. It's easier. He will tell you about it.
Yeah, so the plus and minus buttons on their own don't do anything. You think that would adjust the wattage. It doesn't. So you've got 2 things you do. That's it. Nice and simple. Hold the up button and the go button and the wattage will start flashing. You can then use the up and down buttons to set your wattage and either leave it or press the go button to select that wattage. Nice and simple. The other one is down and go, which is going to change your mode, and again you cycle through the modes with the up and down button. Soft hit, standard hit, power hit. Yeah, I was a bit disappointed when it said power. How do we get this in TC? Nope, no, power is just a high hard hit.
Wait a minute. No, that's another video. Sorry. Next up for you guys is button quality. Now, they're really, really... Click it for them. Click it for them right now. Oh, yeah. It's really good. It's really good. For the size of the device, I was expecting not a lot like Slack, but for the quality of the buttons, and they're really fucking good. I mean, nice solid click action, no hollow sound like some more expensive mods that we might have reviewed recently. Check our videos.
Yeah, there's no rattling from these. It's completely silent, and the buttons themselves, yeah, they feel nice to press. They're nice and chromy, you know. They just look good, work good, nice.
And it's also a really good call with the go button, making it elongated and bigger than the other buttons. Next up for you is a double hitter, firmware update and temperature control. Obviously, like we've already said, nah, not here.
Yeah, so next up's going to be the 510 connector. So it's got a sort of nice solid action sprung loaded 510 connector with good threads, so yeah, no worries there. We've tried a variety of devices on it and they all work fine.
Okay, next up for you guys is battery life. Now, what with it being a 1200 milliamp hour battery, yeah, you're going to get what you pay for it. It's quality over quantity in this instance, and you should know what you're paying for.
Yeah, so I mean, battery life, I get, you know, a drive to work, which is about 45 minutes, and one more vape after that. And I hit fairly hard. You get more battery life, obviously the lower wattage you use, and the sort of softer the hit you use. So if you're doing a standard hit, you will get more hits than a power hit. It kind of comes with the territory. But you're not going to be able to take this out and about all day. You know, that would be awesome for something this size. But, you know, it's sort of beyond reason to expect that. So, you know, you be prepared to charge this a lot. But for the size of it, it's really good. I mean, there's an 18650, which is bigger than it. You know, it's crazy how much battery life you get when you think how small all of this is.
I mean, to give you an idea, I mean, you had one instance there of driving to work. I was using this while writing up the review, which was a couple of hours in front of the PC, and I was using it a bit before that and a bit after it. So it's all right, and I'm not a light vapor.
You're pretty heavy.
Pretty heavy vapor? No, I'm not that bad. I'm fairly middle of the road.
That was a fat joke, by the way.
Thanks, I think they got it.
Right, usually we talk about the battery cover quality. This is a sealed unit. It doesn't have a battery cover. It is just sort of like nicely sealed. You know, you can't change the batteries yourself. They're all screwed away. You know, you could break it down and get in there and do it, but that's not what it's designed to do. The only thing I will say is that I'm not particularly happy with the venting. There's like a pinhole. Like, this is like a Casio watch reset button size pinhole in the bottom. That's it. The venting is going to happen through the buttons, through the screen, through your mod, and through the USB port if it happens. It shouldn't happen, don't get me wrong, I'm not particularly worried it's going to happen, but I prefer better venting holes just in case. Okay,
so now that's the component parts taken care of mostly. We're now going to talk about the whole of it, tank and mod, as a kit. And first up for that is size, portability, and weight. Yeah. Oh, size, portability, weight. Oh. So, yeah.
It has, yeah, portability.
Size.
Lack thereof. And weight. Lack thereof. Yeah, it's freaking awesome. Like, you could easily lose this and find that actually it's in your pocket. You know, it's so tiny, so light. It's just brilliant. I mean, if you're looking for something that is portable, then it's this. I mean, it's nothing.
We made a joke earlier about, you know, tugging on it too hard and fucking inhaling it. It's actually a real fucking problem.
Oh, the mod, right, okay.
Later.
Yeah, so as we said, it is freaking tiny. It is really lightweight, and in terms of the rest of portability, it's the way you sort of hold it and it's in your hand. It's freaking small in your hand. It's got this rubberized stuff with a thumb grip. It's just great to hold, and it sits 2 knuckles up. You know, it's not just 1 knuckle up. It sits 2 knuckles up, and yeah, it's brilliant.
2 knuckles deep. Moving on now to style for you guys. I mean, what can we say about it? It's a cute looking little bastard. You know that when you buy it. It's fucking fantastic. A lot of the styling is in the size, coupled with the carbon fibre effect that it's wrapped in, and finished off with the beautiful chromy buttons.
Yeah, and the screen on top. I mean, Council of Vapour always do a really good job, in my opinion. I like the style of everything they've done, and this is no exception. It just looks really cool. Right, onto warranty of the device. It's a mystery. It doesn't say anything about warranty in the packaging, and I don't know, can't find anything on the site. So if a message just pops up here, then we found it. If not, your guess is as good as ours. Statutory warranty from the shop you bought it from.
Now we've reached that special stage in the show where we sum up with pros and cons. As always, we'll start with the cons, so we're doing stuff with the pros later. First up, 3-hour battery charge time. For a 1200 milliamp hour battery, I thought you were taking that.
Yeah, so, I mean, it is a pain. You will spend a lot of time charging this because the battery doesn't last too long compared to, like, a dual 18650 mod. But, you kind of expect it. Also, the battery is going to get to a different level of flatness depending on what power profile you've got it on. If you're on power, the battery will read as flat and it will stop firing sooner than if you're on standard or soft. On standard or soft, you drain the battery more, because you need less power to do that hit, each hit. So you just sort of use up more of the battery. Now that's true with all devices. No matter what device it is, the high wattage you're firing at your batteries will be flat to provide that wattage, but it's more noticeable in this where it's a small battery.
Next up for the cons for the MiniVolt is when I was testing it, I left it on charge overnight. When I came to it first thing in the morning, it was still saying charging, and I sleep for more than 7 hours a night, so could be a bug in the software. Don't know.
Yeah, I had the same thing once. I ended up unplugging it, replugging it in, and 10 minutes later it was finished and said charging. So there is something not quite right there. Occasionally it could just be with our mod, but again, it's not a deal breaker because it has still charged it up. It's just something you should know about.
Yeah, for accuracy, when I was saying that, it was just sort of like 1 bar off of the top, so it was more or less, it probably was fully charged. It was just a bug in the software saying that it was still charging, but worth mentioning. Next up on the cons list has got to be the poor venting in the bottom of the mod. While it's not horrendous, I mean, it would be better just if there was more.
Yeah, and the last thing I'm going to mention, I'm going to put it in cons, but it's more a statement of fact. The unit doesn't have TC. Now, we need to put it there because obviously if it had TC that would be better, so it kind of goes in cons, but you know what you're getting with this anyway, so it doesn't matter. That's not what you're buying it for. It's just that I want to mention it because where it says power, when you turn it on, it's in power mode, and you see power, so you think, how do I flip it to TC mode? It doesn't. No TC. Moving
now on to pros, because it's so tiny it's not worth hurting it any further with our cons, our stupid cons over here. First up for the pros has got to be the size of portability and weight of it. It is the standout feature of the device.
Yeah, that's the whole point of this device. It is tiny. It is so tiny. It's one of the first things that said mini that really is mini, which is awesome.
Next up, there's got to be that OLED screen. Although it's tiny, and it is fucking small, because the whole fucking thing is small, it's so clear and crisp. I mean, you can see it, and my eyes aren't great, and I can still see it and pick out everything.
Yeah, and they've put it in a good position as well, where you can sort of see it while you're hitting on it, and it's just a nice position to work. Tony said on a number of mods where if they just put a tiny little screen on there, just a tiny screen, they've done it with this, and it's awesome.
And now that they've used it for this, those other manufacturers have got no fucking excuse. Tight bastards. The other pro is the fact that the mod is able to fire down to 0.2 resistance. I mean, that's fucking brilliant. Although it's the 2 coils that it ships with is 0.8, it has the ability to sort of go down lower, thus giving you more vapour.
Yeah, the manual says it only does sort of 0.8 and above, but yeah, 0.2 is where it's at. Obviously, if you are firing something that's 0.2 at 40 watts on power, the battery life is going to be massively shortened. It is designed to work as a kit, but yeah, it fires everything. It works really good with target tank, which is a 0.9 ohm core, and yeah, it's just great.
And lastly, for the pros, has got to be the fact that we were both surprised by the performance of this quite spectacular little bastard.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting a lot. It's so small that, and yeah, only 40 watts, and but yeah, it really is.
So,
good.
Summing up briefly for the Council of Vapour MiniVolt, more of a testament to engineering as it is to an everyday vaping device. It was never going to be designed to perform in sort of like the standard vaping market. This was more about the engineers and the inventors coming up with a bit of kit and just saying, you know, fuck it, I want to try something different. And hats off to them. They've got brass balls for trying it. It was fucking great.
Yeah, so for what it is, this tiny little kit has mega performance. It's not going to be an only mod kit, you know. If I was recommending a starter kit to someone, I probably wouldn't recommend this because you spend a lot of time charging it. But if you've got any other mods and you're looking for a second device, this is absolutely perfect. It's great to just, it's so easy to take with you everywhere. There's no reason not to, you know. I don't want to be without it. It's just great. It is great.
It'll also be a fantastic talking point, especially with the ladies. So hats off to Council of Vapour for producing this brilliant little piece of engineering marvel that it is. While we're thanking people, let's thank New World Vaping for supplying it to us to review for your viewing pleasure. While we're talking about thanking people, it's also worth mentioning that New World Vaping sponsor the UK Vaping Forum over on Facebook, and they recently ran a competition to give one of these away. So if that kind of shit interests you, get on over to Facebook. I'm sure they'll be running another competition fairly soon to be giving away something.
Yeah, the more members they get, the better prizes there's going to be for the giveaways, which is really cool. Our videos are there, and we spend a lot of time on there chatting with people.
Okay guys, that kind of brings us to the end of this review for the MiniVolt by Council of Vapour.
Zap.
We hope you have enjoyed what we're doing. We hope we're entertaining you. If so, please drop us a like and do the whole subscribe thing and tell your pets, because they have Facebook accounts and whatnot.
This is YouTube.
Yeah, I know, it's cross-platform advertising, remember? We're trying to...
Foreshadowing as well, because don't forget to follow us on the social medias, Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Any questions, hit us up here or hit us up on the social media. We are quite chatty.
But for now...
Thank you for watching
The Smog Lot.
I can't get them straight. I can't do reverse. Fucking cheap camera.
I don't think any camera's going to fix that.
Right. No, I was just checking the microphone.
You said, oh yeah, of course you were. You better fucking sneeze, you lying bastard.
Burp, actually.
Oh, I thought it
Got
was a
like
sneeze.
burp constipation going on, so it's just going to rib it out halfway through, but it'll be a surprise for later.
Hi, I'm Tony, this is...
Yeah, probably.
Then you're going to fuck your rubber up doing it.
Oh, there we go.
Oh.
Done.
5 minutes of fucking about with a fucking...
Ah! Juice dump in my mouth. I just sucked it all off the spit cap. It wasn't even firing. It's just, yeah. Right, that's going in the leaks and spits.
The beginning of a porno or somewhere. Pretty sure it's in your mouth. I like the way you got your lips halfway down the fucking mod.
Swallow the whole thing. It's a danger. It is a danger. It should come with a choking hazard thing.
Moving on to the 510 protection. What the fuck is 510 protection?
I don't know, but I really want a mod that's got it now.
Me too.
Okay, so that's the tank out the way. Now we're going to talk about the mod itself. So, being a mod, let's talk about the... I couldn't remember what the protection no, for power.
It's alright, and I'm not a light vapor.
You're pretty heavy.
Pretty heavy vapour. No, I'm not. I'm not that bad. I'm fairly middle of the road.
That was a fat joke, by the way.
Thanks. I think they got it.
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
Go for it. Go for it. That's what we're about. I know you love me.
I do. I love you however you are. There's just more of you to love.
Twice as much.
Just not when you're on top.
You love a challenge. Struggling for breath. If that mode had said hard, would you then not have put TC in this article?
Maybe.
Really?
Maybe. Because
Just literally on the wording?
maybe, yeah, because when you see power mode, if you go to pretty much any other device, some call it wattage, but a lot call it power mode, where it's power or TC. Like Snowwolf says
It's just a company calling a different profile something different, to make themselves appear different from the likes of Smog,
but power
who
is
use soft, standard,
Yep.
or no, they use
You
normal,
say that, but
and then
power
hard.
is a type of measurement. It doesn't low power, high power, doesn't say what it is. It just says power. They're all powers. Soft power.
This is
Standard
the
power,
fucking Kessler running
Power
12
power.
parsecs all over again.
soft power, standard power, power. So that's why
It's just
I
a company trying to set themselves apart from everyone else.
It is, and I just think it's a bit confusing when 90% of other companies call power mode their wattage mode. Snowwolf, for example, says power when you're in wattage mode, and then you flip to a TC mode, and the power bit goes away because you're not in power mode anymore. And that's why it's just a bit confusing. And it's not a terrible thing, and I'm fine now I know it. But if people see it say power, they might assume, because like 90% of other mods that say power would also have a TC mode. So I just think it's not a mega con. It just needs mentioning. Trust me.
What? We're at different sides of the table on this one. What do you want me to say?
You're at the wrong side of the table. I want you to say sorry.
I can't say that when you're sitting at the stupid side.
Not at the stupid side. I'm at the common side where everyone else is. You can sit over there on your high horse.
No, you're with your imaginary fucking friends. Everyone's over here with me.
They're not, man. Anyone who's used any device.
Shit, it's not a con, for fuck's sake.
It's not a con. It's some. That's what I said. It's not a con. I said it needs to be pointed
You
out.
just put it underneath the con section.
That's because it's not a pro. It's not a pro that it doesn't have TC.
It's not a con either, it's a nothing.
It is a nothing, and that's why I said it's not really a con, but it just needs mentioning, and that's why I was slotting it. It slots in better there. It does.
It doesn't need mentioning at all.
In which case, why do we put the fact that stuff has temp control in pros?
Because stuff that does have temperature control, then you
We
talk
just put-
about it. It's like saying if a fucking tank had a spear function. Well, this tank doesn't have a spear function. This tank doesn't have a spear function. This tank doesn't. None of the fucking tanks have spear function. If a product doesn't have the capability to do it in the first place, there's no point in calling it up on it as a con.
I think I handled it right. I mentioned it in the right place.
And that's what I said. We're at different sides of the table,
Okay.
so we'll move on.
Pros.
So, summing up briefly for the Council of Vapour MiniVolt, it's more of a testament to engineering as it is to an everyday vaping device. It was never going to be built to perform in the standard vaping category. Why are you breathing heavily? They can hear you.
I've just run up and down the stairs. As with all of Council of Vapour's stuff, this is no exception. They've done an awesome job. So, hats off to Council of Vapour for the great job they've done with this MiniVolt kit. While we're talking about thanks, we're not talking about thanks. Fucking hell, I'm tired. Oh.
Do you want me to do it?
Yeah, go on.
Okay. So, hats off to New World Vaping.
No, I was
Signing out.
You better do it because I'm really fucking tired. I'll chime in at some point once I get my shit together.
Okay, ready?
Yeah. Chaos.
I think you hit my finger.
It's so fucking small. I wonder.
Brilliant.
I could probably fit this all the way in my mouth
Don't.
and press the button with my teeth.